Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and today I'm unboxing and rambling two different Dark Souls board games. Two different new core sets then from a system that I haven't played before. This is from Steamforged Games. These are going to be the Tomb of Giants and the Painted World of Ariamis. Maybe. This is the part of the video where about 400 people who love the Dark Souls universe tell me how I mispronounced Ariamis. Ariamis, right? It seems like it's Ariamis. Let's go ahead and dive into this. This is an unboxing and rambling, coffee shot as usual, knife and all those things. We're gonna go ahead and unbox these two games and talk about different things, including Steamforged Games, including the fact that I haven't played Dark Souls, including the upcoming Elden Ring. In fact, I'll have a link to Elden Ring down below. That's gonna be an upcoming Kickstarter, and it just may be the most funded Kickstarter, board game Kickstarter of all time. It's certainly not going to beat Brandon Sanderson, but it has a chance. I mean, it has, what, 20,000+ people following it already, and that number is only going to grow. And it's from Elden Ring, which is absolutely doing, I mean, insane numbers as far as just video game sales and popularity and all those things. And we'll see. But this is Dark Souls, and let's go ahead and dive into this. Dark Souls, the board game, the Tomb of Giants. And I'm specifically unboxing this because, well, I'm unboxing this now because I hope to play this tomorrow. One of them. I should probably look into which one of any of these. But let's start with the rulebook as usual. Rulebook for this is going to be, and I haven't played the original Dark Souls, not from Steamforged Games. They had a giant Kickstarter. It did tremendously well. It's still one of the most funded Kickstarters of all times, board game Kickstarters of all times. Page 8 has characters. We have tiles and nodes, campaign dashboard, playing the game, winning and losing. Does not look too intense as far as rules. Rulebook comes in around 28 pages or so for that. Doesn't look crazy, but we'll see. Dark Souls in general is a game that's gotten a lot of flack, although this supposedly, I haven't played the original Dark Souls, I won't be able to comment on it, this supposedly is like a streamlined rule set or changes to the game, in some way an improvement upon the system. I couldn't tell you. I'll only be able to tell you whether I like this or not. I will not be able to tell you whether it's an improvement upon the system because I haven't played the system. Also, this is going to be a fairly short unboxing, despite having two core sets to go through. I don't know much about this game. I know a little bit about Dark Souls, or the Souls series of video games. Here we have our punch boards, we have our cleric, and our pyromancer over here. We have the thief. Ooh, I think I'll be a thief. Maybe. Pyromancer does sound fun. Pyromancer's gonna be fun. We can go whatever. We'll figure it out. Maybe I'll what's the word for it? Dual hand, I don't know the word. Multi-class? No, it's a different word. Two-handed. I'll two-hand a few characters, but this game from Steamforged Games came out on Kickstarter, and then I believe the complaint was that there was a lot of grind in the experience, which is something that I have experienced. I know when I played Bardsong from them, I liked Bardsong a lot, but didn't like the amount of, for me, what felt like a little too much grind for the experience. These boards don't feel, I mean, I'm curious how these actually play out as far as what they're doing and the mechanics of this. I don't know a thing about the Dark Souls game, so I can't speak to this at all. I mean, this practically speaking all looks the same to me, but I'm assuming there's some form of difference. This is the part where reading rulebooks helps you know more about the experience, which I'll get to that part. Like I said already, this is an unboxing and rambling. This is not meant to be about the game. A tad about the game. It is the driving force of the conversation, but we're going to talk about anything else as well. We have some more stuff under here. But anyways, Dark Souls is a game I never had a chance to play, I never had a chance to try, and never felt the need to because the ratings, I believe on Board Game Geek, it comes in at like a 6.7 or something like that. It was decently rated. It's not bad, but also not amazing, especially for the price point of the content. And again, I believe that's related to the grind aspect, which is something I haven't experienced, haven't played, can't speak for it. But I am curious to see how this one does, because I know that Steamforged Games is like their first big game that they made, and this is one, like I had a whole interview with Rich from Steamforged Games. You can check that out below. But they're very public with the fact that they've learned as a company, they've developed, they've changed, they've taken things into account both from running Kickstarters as well as from I don't know, the running of Kickstarters and all that stuff, as well as the actual games and all that. And I can tell you, I've generally enjoyed their games. I've very much enjoyed Resident Evil. I've enjoyed Monster Hunter World. There are more games of theirs that I've played. I've enjoyed Resident Evil 2. No, I haven't played 2. I've played 3. I've played 1. I've liked both of those. I like Monster Hunter World. I like Horizon Zero Dawn. Yes, I do. We'll talk more about that at some point. I liked Bardsong, but too much grind for me. And then what's the other one? The RuneScape. RuneScape was light. RuneScape was definitely light, but I overall enjoyed it. It's one that I am getting just to be able to play through with my kid, but I liked it. Let's go ahead and show you another one of these miniatures here. But yeah, this is their original game. This is their claim to fame, and this is the one that they now have Elden Ring as well, which is a big deal as far as, here we got our 3 heroes. Elden Ring is going to be a huge deal, and I'm curious to see how it does. Because Elden Ring is going to face that interesting aspect where they're facing an uphill battle. I mean, again, both things are true. It may well be the highest funded Kickstarter of all time, board game Kickstarter, but it also is facing an uphill battle from people who play Dark Souls or know about Dark Souls and want to be sure that the game is good. There's always that risk factor at play, 100%. And so you're trying to make that judgment and determination of, ooh, I want Elden Ring, but what about Dark Souls? Is it going to be like Dark Souls or not? And so these core sets alone are an interesting conversation as far as what Dark Souls, what Steamforged Games has or hasn't done. Like, I know Jeremy Howard has his hands on these sets as well, and is going through playing them. He's ahead of me on this right now. I'm still just getting up to the part where I hopefully can get them played. Oh, this one has no tape. No tape on this one. So he's ahead of me on that one. But we have these bosses over here. We have our cards. Again, I don't know anything about the experience. We have dice. So we got these dice over here. These are going to be some dice that you're rolling in the experience. Lots of swords in them. I like the multiple swords. More specifically, I like it when we have 4 swords on a die. That seems like a good thing to have. We have our little decks of cards that we're going to go through as well in a second. Just high level stuff, not heavily going into it. We have different levels of these various skeleton dudes that we're gonna have to face off against. But let's go ahead and take a look at these guys. These ones are bigger than the last ones, more intimidating just in sheer size alone. Just the size against those other guys. Then we have some of these things off to the side. Here we go. And one of the things I find fascinating about Steamforged Games is their miniatures have not always been amazing to me. Like, I love the miniatures in Bardsong, whereas I find the miniatures in Resident Evil to be only okay. They've had different quality of miniatures across the course of the game. There are bosses, there are various dragon type things going on in Monster Hunter World. Those are fantastic. We have this big guy over here, this big mess of souls, Dark Souls and all that stuff, this guy over here. Now, the Dark Souls games have had a whole bunch of games so far, and a whole bunch means they've had Dark Souls, they've had a Bloodborne from Command, and now they're going to have Elden Ring from Steamforged again. And Bloodborne was a game that's generally been well received, but Bloodborne was not for me because it felt, weirdly enough, too much like the Bloodborne video game that I didn't quite love. I always thought the Bloodborne video game was good without being great. It wasn't as much to my overall taste, and I got the board game hoping the board game would be different. It wasn't different. It felt like the video game, which means I think that's a good thing for people who want the video game, but it was not a good thing for me, who I like my, I like a little bit more, I don't know, I think both in Bloodborne, the board game, and the video game, there's this concept of respawning enemies that you have to fight and deal with. I didn't like that concept in either. Now, there's an interesting longer conversation as to why that's any different than Zombicide, where you have spawning enemies from spawn points every 2 seconds, you're constantly dealing with those. The answer is, I don't have the answer. I'm still working on that one. But it does feel different to me. Somehow or somewhy it feels different. I feel more objective driven in Zombicide, and I feel like the enemies along the way are there to stomp on and level up, but almost like they're there for me. They're there for me to benefit from, and not for me to just grind through them. Again, I don't have a good answer. But anyways, cards. We have a short bow. We have a bandit knife over here. We have a bunch of cards over here. The mace, we have the cleric robes, the Caduceus round shield, the pyromancy flame, the black hand armor. Again, the Souls games in general are famous for being, well, brutal, and that may or may not hold up. The problem is you have to do this interesting balance of when you create a game and how it translates from video game space to board game space, because those are different experiences. Grind is a present mechanic in, well, both board games and video games. The idea of leveling up. If you've played Gloomhaven and you've gone through the experience, you have to choose about how you're going to, how much grind do you have in any longer experience, as opposed to a game that's meant to be, 2 hours long or 4 hours long, versus a game that's multiple campaigns deep and you're leveling up and progressing throughout the course of it. Grind is kind of an essential part of that. But the question is how much grind and how do you manifest that? Those are interesting decisions to balance. Now again, I plan on going through these 2 core boxes. I plan on playing them hopefully soon, like as in today. Maybe today. More likely tomorrow. I plan on going through these core boxes. To be very clear, my today and my tomorrow are, well, I don't know when this video goes up, so it's your past, which means I've already gone through these games. I've already tried them, hopefully. If things went as planned, I've already tried these games and already experienced them. Let's go ahead and open this over here, just going through these. But we'll see. I am very curious. I'm curious how they're going to go. I'm walking in with mixed expectations on both these Dark Souls experiences, because sure, they are cleaned up, iterated upon, but at the end of the day, if the original core source is mixed, I don't know. I'm curious. I'm curious. I'm very curious. I like Steamforged Games. That bias should be noted, by the way. I like Steamforged Games. I have a close relationship with them, so I do like them. But overall, well, ultimately time will tell. I mean, I like Steamforged Games, and I thought Bardsong was very, very good with too much grind. Maybe that will be here as well. I don't know. We'll see. But over here we have these cards. These look like they're the scenarios almost. These look like scenarios, I'm guessing, just based on the way they have these structured and set up. So I'll have to go through figuring out how to read those cards. Then we have these cards, which are the enemies, it looks like. Black Knight, Heavy Slash. Oh, this iconography almost even looks similar a bit to Monster Hunter World, the way those cards were. Not the exact same, but a degree of similarity to them. But we'll see. We'll see. I will have to go through all of these stuff and figure out all these details later. For right now, I'm just trying to, we'll make these dice fit nicely in the box. This can go over here, that can go over there, this can go over here, and that is core box 1. That was quick. I expected it to be quick, but it was decently quick. And then we still have to punch these tokens and tiles out and go through that board and figure all this stuff out, which I'll take care of later. I'm going to leave the rulebook out, honestly, because that's part of the whole reading it. So we're going to put away the core set, the Tomb of Giants. Tome of Giants. Tomb. Tome. Why is it that both of those sound acceptable? Are both acceptable? Tomb and tome. Like, tomb is right? Tome is incorrect. Or are they both right? I don't really know, but let's go ahead and find out. Let's move my hand out of the way as we peel that out. I have not yet, actually, have I cut myself unboxing a game yet? I don't know. I'm trying to remember. I may have, I just don't remember if I've cut myself yet from unboxing a game. Although stats being stats, it's really just a matter of time. But let's go ahead and open this up. We have the Painted World of Ariamis, maybe. I can't say if I pronounced that correctly. Let's see about as far as this rulebook goes. Rulebook looks to be, well, I mean, I can't tell you much as far as whether it's the same or not yet. But the question is, I don't want to read two rulebooks. Is this going to be the exact same thing? I don't know. I really hope, I really hope they don't make me read 2 rule books, or at the very least they make it very clear what's from one rule book versus another. We'll put that off to the side though and deal with it later. But we have the same, same printed dashboard over here. We have our same system of having 3 characters over here. We have a mercenary, a sorcerer, and the deprived. Deprived looks the least interesting. Pyromancer still seems to be the most interesting. Ultimately, time will tell on that one. We have, ooh, these tiles over here are a little prettier looking. Let's take a look at what these are. I like the aesthetic of these tiles. The Painted World of Ariamis. I mean, it makes sense that if it's going to be painted, we have a, not necessarily more color, but I like the snow effect on these a little better. It feels more like locations as opposed to the other ones just felt like ambient nothingness. And maybe it was ambient nothingness. I don't really know. I don't know if there's any mechanical aspect to these locations or how they interface. I just don't know. Maybe it's all the colored spots and pointed. I just don't know. This is the downside of not knowing the rules of the game you're unboxing. You sound like you don't know things because you don't know things. We again have a few boxes over here. We're going to have to cut off the tape on this one, and I don't know if we're going to bother going through the cards in this one. This is just what we got as far as 2 basic core sets, some basic enemies. Miniatures are okay, not overall to my taste, but ultimately, like I said already, Resident Evil is one of my favorite games from them, and the miniatures there are also not to my taste. But we have these heroes over here, meaning it's more, I like miniatures as much as the next person, possibly more than the next person, but ultimately for me it is always about the mechanics first and foremost, miniatures being secondary to everything else. This is going to be a really short unboxing. We might be under 20 minutes in this one, we'll find out. But here we have our 3 characters, our 3 heroes for this one. Again, each set coming in with 3 different heroes to deal with. We have some of these little skeleton dudes, which I like a bit more than the other ones. They're more interesting and innovative as far as what they're doing. Although innovative is probably the wrong term, because for all I know, these are just copied directly from Dark Souls, which I've never actually, that's not true. I have played Dark Souls. I played Dark Souls once upon a time, a very long time ago. I played video games more back in the day, and I figured Dark Souls was a game I had to try. I heard good things about it, and so I tried it. And then I thought it wasn't really fun. For me. People like it. I didn't like it. But that's just me and Dark Souls. We got more dice, more cards, won't heavily go into them. We have this little thing, which the other one didn't seem to have. Don't know what's up with that. Maybe the other one did have it and I missed it. I don't know. We have these little creatures and enemies, just in case you're interested in the Dark Souls universe and you want to see some of these. But we have these over here as far as these guys go. There we go. There we go. Just like little sad sacks of flesh and all that stuff. And then we have some of these guys, which are just 2 of these same little bird dudes, which we can go ahead and look at these. But yep, again, just sad little bird dudes, whatnot, little hulks of flesh and scraps. And again, the Souls category of games are just, they're very challenging. And maybe it's just I don't want to be challenged. Maybe. I don't know. I like challenging games in some senses. I just don't like what the Dark Souls universe of games does. I like hack and slashes. I like Call of Duty. I like Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham Asylum, beating people up. I like feeling cool in games. The most recent game I probably played, I think the last game that I fully played was probably either Far Cry 5 or Spider-Man. Like the Spider-Man, PS5 game, PS4 Spider-Man. Those are probably the last 2 times I fully played a game. I like learning combos and figuring things out and figuring out the universe around me. I do enjoy that aspect. I like other engine building games. I like Sid Meier's Civilization. Great game. I spent hundreds of hours in Sid Meier's 5. I don't know what the context for a challenging experience is or isn't, But there are many games I enjoy, many games I don't enjoy. I don't know why I don't like the Dark Souls games. I just don't historically like the Dark Souls games. Video games. We're talking video games right now. Board games, we'll see. I didn't like Bloodborne, haven't played Dark Souls, but we'll find out. Either way, we have 2 more characters over here to go over. 2 more characters. You know, the giant shield over there. I mean, the amount of stuff you see online about Souls memes, about people, and just the way they engage that world very heavily. Like, I don't know if you follow, if you subscribe, follow, whatever. What's their name? Their, oh my gosh. Their YouTube channel. They're hilarious. They do skits. They use skits on, like, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name. Viva La Dirt League. Viva La Dirt League. They do a whole bunch of Dark Souls skits that I think are hilariously entertaining. And I like the concept of the Dark Souls universe, but they also make fun of how ridiculously hard Dark Souls is, which makes me less intrigued by the game, because that's the thing I don't love about it. Either way, that's what we have over here. So, we have 2 core sets. We have a bit of ranting about the Dark Souls universe. We have 14 lost subscribers because you hadn't yet heard me talk about the Souls universe before, but this is how I feel about the Souls universe. I've talked about it with Bloodborne extensively. Now you get to hear me talk about it with Dark Souls. Don't worry, when I cover Elden Ring, I'll spend 4.5 hours talking about how I don't like the Dark Souls universe, and you can hear it all over again if you want. Or not. Or you unsubscribe by now, because, like I said, 14 unsubscribers. 14 people who unsubscribed. Anyways, that's what we have over here. We have 2 core boxes from Steamforged Games. I'll be diving into one or both of these. I'm inclined to go into the Painted World of Ariamis just because the tiles look funner to me, so I'll probably start with that one. I don't know if there's a specific one you're supposed to or not, but I'll figure it out, and we'll see. I'm very curious about the game. I'm curious. That's where I am with this. I don't know whether I'll like it or not. I'm honestly kind of inclined to assume that I'll be more mixed on this one. I just instinctively, just looking at even just the way they have 2 different core sets packaged, and combine that with my lack of investment in the universe itself, and I think I'm more likely to be a little mixed on these experiences. Mixed doesn't mean negative. It might mean that I say, hey, this is good, that's not good, this is whatever, I don't know. Then again, Resident Evil, which is a series from Steamforged Games that is my favorite series from them so far, is a game that I walked into expecting to be mixed on, and was like, actually, I really like it. Like, I got rid of Resident Evil 3, but only because Resident Evil is better. It's the same game system, but better, with more exploration, more feeling of a sense of adventure. There's still things I want the game to be better about, but they have their hands tied with IP and stuff like things like that. Like, I want more character progression in Resident Evil. Because right now it feels like a campaign, but it feels like a campaign with minimal progression, which means it has the work of a campaign without feeling like the reward of a campaign, if that makes sense. Either way, I'm walking in with biases. Definitely, lots of biases. Not just that I like Steamforged, but like biases towards the fact that I like Steamforged, biases towards the fact that I don't like Dark Souls, biases towards the fact that the miniatures don't overly impress me. The game, some of the tiles are more or less interesting. I'm walking in pros and cons. We'll see ultimately where these ones hold up. I'm curious, but ultimately that will be review territory, which hopefully I'll have soon, because like I said, I plan on heavily diving into these ones just because of the time-sensitive nature of Elden Ring coming up, and I'd love to have coverage of these, well, sooner rather than later. In any case, and until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this unboxing and rambling, a little all over the place, which is how I like them. And until next time, I hope you have a good one.